guys, welcome to my channel. Second video I'm filming today. I got a busy week ahead, so I'll be filming all day. Today's video is actually going to be makeup do's and don'ts. I've definitely done this video before on my channel, and I find it to be very helpful because I feel like you can really steer people where they think they might be going wrong with their makeup and help them and show them how to do it right, not just tell them how they're doing it wrong. I've always gotten pretty good feedback on these videos, so I enjoy redoing them every now and again to post an updated one. Now, I just want to say in the beginning of this video that don't feel like just because I'm like, this is wrong, that you're like, oh my god, I like the way that looks on me, I'll change it. If you like the way something you're doing looks, then keep doing it because that's what's important. And technically there are no rules in makeup. Really, I feel like this video is mostly here for people who are trying to achieve a very specific look, and there's a fuzz. And I'm hoping that I can totally get you there. Makeup is so much fun, and I feel like as a makeup artist and in the industry, you can never stop learning. A true makeup artist never stops learning. No one's a know-it-all. No one knows every single thing about makeup because it's an art. But I hope this video is helpful for you guys, and I hope you take from it what you want to, and what you don't, girl, leave behind. Leave it in the video. Leave it on the internet. I love teaching makeup so much, and I love talking about it. I do a lot of hits and misses because I find that filming tutorial after tutorial after tutorial is so redundant that sometimes it's really fun to just take a break from that and test out some cool products and see what's new out there on the market. But as for today, we're gonna be learning about makeup, and yeah, I hope the video is helpful. Subscribe to my channel before you leave. Subscribe. And we'll go ahead and jump right into this video. First things first, I had to zoom you in a little bit because you need to see what's going on. Let's get started with priming the skin. I find that this, honestly, if you feel like your skin acts pretty normal with makeup and you're happy without a primer, don't prime your skin. But you're having problem areas like dry skin, pores, there's a primer out there for that can help that. So today I'm going to do a pore minimizing primer, the Smashbox Photo Finish. I'm going to do a little bit on one side of my face and then leave it off on the other side of my face. What's going to be the good side? Let's do the good side right here. So I'm going to go ahead and massage it into the areas where my pores try to get a little weird. And that's all I'm going to do because I feel like whenever you're using like a pore minimizing primer, you don't have to coat the whole entire half of your face. And this time I'm just going to leave the primer off. I typically like to prime. Next up, we're going to talk about foundation. Now, I recently just did like a whole spiel on foundations. If you want to see that video, I'll link it down below. But in the meantime, let's talk about the fact that I want a little bit of a more tan, so I'm going to go to a darker foundation. I don't really recommend doing that because you can really bronze up your skin with a little bit of a bronzer versus like dropping 3 shades in Dr. Pepper. Oh my god. Dropping 3 shades in foundation. So we're going to go ahead and drop those shades over here. I'm using the Larlees Flawless Fusion Ultra Foundation. I have been loving this. I literally had it pointed down and it shot across the room. I'm gonna have to show you footage. Really, this is like my thing to balance light, and the foundation just exploded all over it. Okay, so we're gonna be a little spunky today. Let's try that again. I'm kind of nervous. This is a really great long wearing foundation that just looks really pretty on the skin. The shade 4-in-1 is too dark for me, and so I've been mixing it with 3C1. These were sent to me, so I just mix them and it works out great. I'm gonna be using my fabulous Y6 brush from MORPHE, and I'm gonna show you guys why you don't want to do this. Even if you bring it down the neck, girl, you ain't fooling nobody. Nobody's gonna say, you got a tan. They're gonna say, you got a new foundation. I just feel this looks super orange and unnatural. Now I'm gonna mix a little bit of the foundations together and do the other side of my face. See, it's just slightly darker, but we can still bronze that up and really get that natural glow happening. That looks a bit softer than the other side. But I still don't look too pale, you know? It's like a good happy medium happening here. Next up is the concealer. Concealer is known to be used for highlighting under the eyes, but a tidbit here is you only want to take it 1, maybe 2 shades lighter than your foundation, not 6 shades lighter. And also, I find that using less concealer, which we're obviously not doing on this side, it helps it last longer and blends out softer than going the whole extra mile. Now you can do this if you want to. I've just been using a little bit less, kind of like that, and then I'll blend it in a triangular motion versus coat my face in it like this. So let's blend out the sides and calculate our thoughts. Okay, I'm gonna use this brush. I'm also gonna stipple it out. Do you see how I kind of drag it down to get that highlighted effect versus just applying it all over all the way down? It just wears so much longer, I swear to you. Now I'm just gonna take my Artiste brush. And do this side. And it's just like, girl, a mess. There's too much product to blend out. And then also it's like really contrasting against that foundation. It's blended out soft, but the contrast is like unreal. So, okay, next I'm gonna show you powder. So I like to use a translucent powder with a little bit of a cream texture, cream look to it because it normally doesn't flash back. I've been enjoying the new Too Faced one as well as the Cover FX. Today I'm gonna be using the Too Faced Born This Way powder, and I just sprinkle some in the lid, and then I'll take a sponge and I'll just, on the good side. I just got it all in my lashes. Don't get it in your lashes, okay? Do as I say, not as I do. And you can let it set there. I like to press it into the skin and kind of just even press it in the small lines. Just leave it for a second. The skin already looks soft and not too harsh or contrasty. So a tip I like to tell people is don't go in with a foundation powder on top of your foundation. It's just like a lot of makeup. Foundation powders are pretty much meant to be worn alone as your powder foundation, not with a full coverage foundation. So I'm gonna apply this now and show you the tea on it. This is actually a nice foundation powder to be worn alone. I like it. It's got somewhat coverage to it. Just showing you. It's just like a lot of makeup happening. Well, it neutralized out our concealer because this is like a nice shade of foundation. It's Tan Medium Honey, and this is the, I don't know, this is a Tarte powder that is sold at Ulta. I know that. But anyways, this is a really nice brush to pack it into. But it's just like a lot of heavy makeup, and it may look good right now, but throughout the day, foundations on top of foundation on top of foundation, it doesn't wear well, so you might start breaking apart, sloughing off, getting really creasy and heavy. It's because it's just too much makeup. Okay, let's talk about bronzers. So bronzers, you really, if you're contouring, you don't want to go in with a really orangey shade. This is a more orangey one. It's Bronze Goddess by Estee Lauder. I find that this one's great for bronzing up the skin, but not contouring because it's super orangey. So we're going to go on this side, and we're going to chisel out some cheekbones with this orange. I'm looking like a Bahama Mama over here with some super oranginess. Just bring it around the hairline. You can even... Honestly, I feel like it just isn't a natural contour. It just looks like I put orange bronzer everywhere. And now I'll show you this side doing a bronzed up look. This is a Morphe M100 brush and the Hoola bronzer. Now let me show you the difference in the coolness of it. This one's a lot cooler. Now you can play with how cool tone your bronzer is depending on your skin tone. I've gone through the Kevin Aquan one. It was way too cool, made me look gray, but the Hoola one works really well for me. I'm gonna like bronze up and I'm gonna contour out that cheekbone. So here is the good side of my face. I feel like it looks a little bit softer and more natural of a contour, and then this side looks a little bit muddy and it's just so unnatural. Now you can use a warm tone bronzer just to kind of plush all over and really warm up the skin like I was saying, instead of going in with a warmer foundation. But as far as contouring, I like to stick it to more natural, softer bronzers. I'm going to grab the Deep Mauve blush from CoverGirl. I'm going to show you how you can definitely wear a pretty deeper blush, but you don't have to go in so heavy-handed, because I find that a lot of blush right here just doesn't look natural. Blush is meant to give you a little bit of natural flush and color back in the skin because you kind of wiped it out with all the foundation. So I like to tap my brush into it and then give it an extra tap. You can either fling it on the lid to get some of the excess blush off. I like to smile, and honestly I like to work my blush back just a little bit, just very soft. like that, just real soft. Now, if you're not tapping off excess blush and you're really focusing it on the front of that cheek area, as you can see, I have a little bit of flush of color, and I find that it looks a little bit softer and more natural. But right here, ooh, right here, girl, looks like I flicked in the cheek. So you just want to go light-handed with blush. I find that blush is one of my products I'll even skip sometimes because I'm just not in the mood to have any blush on, but you know, you want to be careful. Okay, next up is highlighters. What can we do wrong with highlighters? Well, I feel like, you know, put on as much highlighters if you definitely want. I'll never tell you not to. But I also feel like putting it in the right place is important too. So this one is Skinny Dip by Jouer. I'm going to take my Y14 highlighter brush, and I find that if you can keep the highlighter away from pore areas, because they pick up so much texture in pores, just really focus it only like right in there. Just right in there, and then you can even swoop it around like a dab on the forehead if you don't have oily skin, and just really leave it at that. And then with my finger I'll put a dab on the nose and then the cupid's bow and leave it at that. And then over here we're gonna go ahead and just bring it all the way to the front of the cheek, to the back, to the front, to the back, to the front, to the back, and you'll see my pores are glowing, honey. It's just too much, and then you don't want to add too much on the forehead too because it can look really muddy. Add as much highlight as you want, but maybe just in the right area. Girl, because we don't want to be looking like a mess. So next I'm going to spritz the side of my face with my Morphe setting spray. And then what I'm going to do is pat that watery texture into my skin, and it just really makes everything look way more natural on my skin versus really powdery and unnatural. You see like how powdery the skin looks versus over here it's like kind of dewy and looks more just like my skin happening. Oh, beloved eyebrows, let's do it. First, I like to really just comb the brows upward, and then I take my Precisely Brow Pencil by Benefit in shade number 4. And this is what I like to do. I really like my brow to start right in here on up, if not even more in the center. I find that the thicker the brow too, like the more youthful, is this my shade, girl? Okay. The more youthful appearance you can get. So what I like to do is where I'm missing brow hair right here, I'll just go straight across and out. What I find mistakes that I've made in the past a lot is I drag my brow down too far and it looks like my eye is slumping, or they don't start far enough in the center. So I am going to make sure we have the brow extended out and we pull the brow in. I do hair-like strokes in the front of the brow, and then I even spoolie through them too. So that looks like more like hairs versus brow, like a blocky brow. And then I'll come on off. And at this part, instead of going straight down, I'll try to bring it out a little bit. Kind of like that. And that is basically how I feel in my eyebrow. I feel like it still has an arch, but I more so did the arch underneath the brow too instead of on top. So here I'm not going to comb the brows and groove them upward. And I'm also going to go ahead and create more of a filled in front to the brow. Versus a few strokes, we're going to make it more blocky. And if you notice, I didn't even draw in the top of my brows. I just left it at that. I'm also going to bring the brow down pretty low, showing you guys that you don't want to drag down the face. And I'll show you how, if you ignore the blocky front, how still just dragging it down and not brushing through the product kind of looks like I got a sad face going on, you know, like the brow is just too far down, so my eyelid's kind of like slumping, and then the front is just so unnatural because it's blocky versus getting the sparse hairs like that. Next up, you guys know to prime your eyes, but I'm not going to do it on the bad side, which I do have a little bit of concealer, so we cheat a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and prime. I've been enjoying this lid lock in shade Buff by Tarte, and really I just buff it on the eyelid. It's so important to prime your eyelids. I find that this one's really good if you have oily eyelids as well. I like it a lot, okay? One of my greatest tips I can give you in makeup is start with a transition shade. So we're gonna go ahead and go with a lighter brown shade. Any neutral brown shade normally works perfectly as a transition shade. So what I like to do is pop it into the crease. The lighter the color, the higher I go. The darker the color, I keep it down low. There you go. There's a little riddle to try to help you out with your eyeshadows. Just so you're not taking like the really dark colors all the way up to your eyebrows. Now, if you like that look, girl, go ahead and do it. It's your makeup, your art. But I prefer just for a softer gradient look, so I try to keep the lighter ones a little bit higher and the darker ones a little lower. And that's a nice transition shade. We're gonna skip the transition shade over here and we're gonna dive right into some color. I really love this shade right here to use. It's like a really pretty burnt browny maroony color, and I am going to just start working it in. So as you can see, the color is blending super patchy because there's no transition shade down to help soften up that concealer that's on the eye. So now as you can see, it's sticking. The color also looks kind of harsh because it doesn't gradiate into any softer colors. It's more so just setting on my eyeball. Do you see that? I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I find that you can make it look really good if you'll just take your time with a couple transition shades. I'm gonna take this mustardy yellow color on this side, and it's a little deeper, so we're gonna keep it a little bit lower, and we're just gonna blend it right into the crease and really softly build up color before we get into some major colors. I'll even mix a little bit of this shade in there as well and just keep it lower. Now that that is softly blended up, I feel like we can now dive into a little bit of color. I'm gonna take my Morphe R39 brush and dip into this reddish brown color and buff it right into that crease. When blending, I prefer to do small strokes versus huge ones in the beginning. So you're taking the loaded brush with color and you're softly buffing the color in, and then you can go back and forth with whatever is left on your brush. So now we'll get into that deeper red color now that we've built up a few brown shades and really work it in pretty low. You can tell the difference really now, and like the colors gradiating up versus this side just has one color and it's a little patchy because of lack of the softening up of the concealer that was on the eye. I'm going to take my Morphe 421 brush and I'm going to dabble in, oh my god, I'm just going to get the gold, I guess. It's like my favorite color in this palette. And on this eye, I'm not going to wet it. I'm just gonna start pressing it all over, which actually it still looks beautiful, I assure you, because the colors are just creamy and you don't have to wet them in this palette. But I'm gonna take this coppery color right here. I'm gonna add a little bit of a setting spray to it to dampen it, which prevents fallout as well. If you can see, I have a little bit of fallout on my eye. I'm just gonna put this fiery color, oh yes, good, all over my eyelid. And because the brush is dampened and I'm really softly going in, you can get a pretty clean look out of it. Lately, I've been leaving my brow bone pretty simple. I just haven't been feeling the over highlighted brow bone anymore. I did it for a long time, but now I'm kind of over it. We're gonna over highlight the brow bone. We're gonna go ahead and go in with this bright color, and I'm just gonna add some highlighter to this brow bone over here. This eye is just going through it, so it looks super bad. I'm sure if you do some of these steps wrong, your eye doesn't turn out this bad because I'm doing them all wrong over here. Girl, a mess. A mess. All right, next up, we're getting there, people. We're almost done. If you're going to be adding false lashes, I definitely recommend tight lining the eye, which is taking a little bit of black liner and running it on the upper eyelid, and then also kind of fiddling some black right in that lash line so you can hide the lash band. It's not as noticeable. I would also like to proudly say I've made every mistake in applying false lashes, so let me be the teacher here today. Yeah, Today I'm going to be applying some mosquito lashes in Grandiose. So here's the big kicker that I catch often. People don't trim their lashes. They're not trimming them properly. What you want to do is measure the lash to the eye and cut off all the excess. You can start by cutting off a little and then go back in and cut off a little more if you need to, because remember, you can't add lash on, but you can always take more off. So just don't cut off too much and destroy your eyelash, because I've done that too. Here goes my way too long eyelash. What you're gonna see is going to make the eye look like does my eye look like it's like going downward? I mean, that might be my eyebrow, but I'll show you. If you'll just trim that end off, it can really uplift the eyeball. So another little mistake I've seen in my time is not adding mascara to attach the real lashes to the false lashes. You can definitely see them all dusty right here. So once the glue is dried a little bit more, I'm going to do it on this side, and then we're just going to leave these girls hanging over here. Now I'm going to add a little bit of makeup to my under eye. I typically like to go in with a transition shade and a medium brown shade and buff it. You can honestly take a lighter brown shade and go from inner to outer corner. Just make sure you're not dragging the eyeshadow down too low. And when I don't have eyeliner on, I really like to connect it right there to the outer corner. And then I like to take a tighter brush, this is the E43, with a darker shade, and really push it close to the lash line, not taking it down too far. Like that, and that way we have the smoked out lower lash line. I'm going to add a little bit of my eyeliner in that waterline. But I made sure to keep in the waterline and not drag it down too low. Now on this side, we're gonna add a little bit too much dark shadow, again, without transitioning it out. We're gonna go in with our deeper shade from inner to outer corner, and I just find that it drags the eye down a little bit. And then I'll go in with my eyeliner, and then I'll put it in the waterline, but I'll also smudge a little in the lashes and show you if you put too much dark on the lower lash line, it can really weigh down the eye, make it look kind of droopy. Do you see how this eye, it just is too aggressive? You really just want to keep that liner right in the waterline. And I've seen people like with a little brush get some liner and just very softly smudge it right underneath those lower lashes, but not taking it down this far. So now let me add a little bit of some mascara over here. Voila. So now that the lashes are pretty much attached to my false lashes, let's do some lips. Let's do some lips. All right, the kicker with really light nude lipsticks, I'm going to show you how to wear them today. This is Birkin Suede by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. It's a great nude color if it's worn the right way. So I'm going to just go in and apply it all over this side. If you could tell, it's a little bit too light. So what I really like to do is apply a liner with it to give it some dimension. If you already have beautiful dark lips, then you can honestly just add a little bit of the color right in the center and tap it out with your finger, and you already have that dimension. This is Curvy Lip Liner by ColourPop. I'm just gonna add it right there. It's more softly blended out over here and then over here. Woo! That's bright. That is it, guys. I know some people are going to comment and say they like this side better, and that's okay. But I personally prefer this side over here. I hope this video was helpful. Oh my gosh. Let's do the little half-C face. She's smoking. So that's it for the video. I'll see you guys in my next video. Comment down your favorite part of this video. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here and watching. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.